Hi folks, I am Sue Parker and I wanted to make this video to talk you through how to create a well-converting CV for an IT or data or digital role. So I'm the founder of Empowered Leaders in Tech, and one of my missions is to support you in building a successful career in IT or data. So this is for you if you need to update your CV, perhaps you've not done it for a while. Maybe it's out of necessity because at the moment you find yourself you've been made redundant or your role is at risk. Perhaps it's because you've realised over this time that you're not doing what you want. You want to pivot, you want to change career direction, you want to do something new. Maybe you just want to go for that next level and get your CV ready for it. So this month we have been reviewing tons of CVs, and we've seen everything from directors, project managers, data analysts, data engineers, product owners even. So I want to focus on helping you to get visible, helping you to get that job hunting pack ready, and share some of the CV hacks as a hiring manager's perspective. Because I do know how disheartening it can be. I'm reading through some of these CVs and I can almost feel the pain at the other end. I have been there where you send out 50, 100 CVs to different roles and you hear crickets, literally silence. And you start to doubt yourself. You think, do I not have the skills? Maybe then you start to believe that you should be applying at a lower level, or maybe you just think to hell with it and you just stay where you are. Or perhaps you're thinking, well, I'll just apply for any old job, and you settle. You start to make sacrifices on your goals. So the key thing here is half the time it is just with a bit of structure and with a bit of direction, you can understand what it is that that person is receiving that will help them to judge you better so that we can achieve the goal of getting you to that next level. And that goal is to get you on an interview, to get you on a phone call, whether it's a Zoom interview, a phone call, whatever it is at the moment. That is the goal of the CV. So I do understand how disheartening it can be. And I'm trying to give you a little bit of insight so that you can visualize what is going through that recruiter's mind or that hiring manager's mind so that you can start to get on that shortlist. So first of all, I would say download the CV template guide. It's on the elitedigitalspace.com website, and there's also a link below this video if you're watching on YouTube. This not only gives you an outline of the types of sections that should be in there, because this has changed, this has moved on in CVs over the years, but also it gives you some examples of the types of content that you shouldn't be writing and the types of content that makes it king. Content is king. So I'm going to start with the goal of your CV. The goal of your CV is not to get you the job. That's the key thing you've got to remember. So one of the things we really like to do is pour all our experience, all our qualifications, everything we've ever worked on into these few pages. And it just becomes a big story. And that's not what your CV is. That's something you can fill in the blanks and talk about when you're in the interview. The goal of your CV is to spark enough interest to tick as many boxes so that you can get shortlisted and be top in the recruiter's mind. Basically, I'm going to give you several rules of thumb, and then we're going to work through the structure of a really good skills-based CV for an IT or data role. Okay, first off, remember that craze when it was really fun to design your CV in Photoshop, and probably now Canva or PowerPoint, and have loads of images on there and graphs and charts and pictures? Well, that's no longer the thing, yeah? If you're going to apply for a creative role, you might want one of those in your back pocket to send through, but if we want to get into the eyes of recruiters and hiring managers, we do need to have a searchable, scannable CV that can be read by software. So you need to keep it in some sort of a plain document format, plain text format. Avoid text boxes, images, anything in the header or the footer. It won't be able to pick it out. So just keep it really simple. And also, as a rule of thumb, you know, with websites, magazines, newspapers, that top half of the page, that is the most looked at section. Yeah, that's the first section that's going to catch somebody's eye. Treat that as prime retail space. Don't fill it with your contact details. Don't fill it with your age and all those other sorts of things. You don't need it. Often recruiters, hiring managers skim read. So bullet points are really good. Keeping the bump, the blah blah to a minimum, the explanation, and keeping that back for when you're in the interview. Okay, so you've probably got two scenarios at play. Some of you will fit into the bucket where you found a role you want to apply for. You just need to hurry up and get your CV ready and get it in. Maybe it's an internal role, whatever that is. So you know you're in a really good position. You know the exact skills that they're asking for. You have a job description in front of you that you can use as the basis to target this CV. On the other side, you might be in a bucket of people where you're prospecting. You haven't got one specific role. Maybe you have a range of types of roles you're looking at, or you just want to start to put the feelers out there and you need to submit your CV to get the ball rolling. In that scenario, you need to do a little bit of homework before you start putting pen to paper. So start by going out to all the job sites or LinkedIn, wherever you see jobs advertised, and search for at least 5 different adverts. What you want to do is grab your highlighter pen, highlight those skills that come up most commonly in the job role that you're targeting. Because what you want to do is you want to show how many of those you can check off. And even if you can't check them all off, you can come back, we can fill them in, we'll do a gap analysis, and we'll target developing those skills. But in the meantime, let's check off the ones you have got and get the ball rolling. Okay, so the first section at the top, you need your contact details. You've got to be obtainable. Make sure they're recent. It's an email address you use. It's a telephone that you answer. Yeah, and keep off any other additional personal information like your age, your marital status, your health. I've even seen on there. Maybe back in the 80s we put things like that on, but not anymore. Keep it to just contact details. The second section is your profile section. This is super important. It's like the best 3 sentences you're ever going to write about you, but it's really tricky. It's got to be succinct. Tell me about yourself. I think somebody once described it to me as the tell me about yourself section, but it's only going to be short. So I want to know where you're going, what your biggest selling point is, and then join me the dots. Yeah. Something, I think one of the ones I read recently said somebody was a digital change transformation consultant with over 10 years experience in projects including ATM rollouts. Having recently completed an MBA with specialism in finance, was now looking for, and that just went, yeah, you're looking for what I'm offering, and you've got, wow, an amazing portfolio. So keep it brief. That's your professional summary. Next section has to be your skills. So do a skills-based CV whenever you're applying for an IT, data, technical role. A skills-based CV is definitely the way to go. This is the bit that you're going to tailor every time you apply for a new role, because you are going to make sure this checks off as many of the essential and desirable skills that that recruiter is advertised for. So level of skill is also really important here. When you see a CV that lists SQL, Python, R, Tableau, Power BI, you get the gist of this. I'm thinking, so how well do they know each of these languages or each of these tools that they might have used? Give me a flavour for how well. So when you write a bullet point, tell me what level of skill you are. If you've got a qualification in it, then great. Tell me what kind of things you've achieved. What I really want to know is, what is your achievement? What is the value that you brought to that organisation and then use that tool or that skill to deliver? And how would you level your skills? We always make the assumption that if the skill is listed at the top, it's probably your hottest skill. So if I'm recruiting for a Tableau developer, and I've got Power BI at the top and a bunch of other stuff, and then Tableau is right near the bottom, I'm going to assume it was a bit of a later stage. Sometimes, if you've got enough time, you will go later through into the CV and have a look at the experience and see if you can pick out which tools were used in the most recent experience. And then we kind of get a feel for the level of skill and how much use you've had. Make it easy for a recruiter. Yeah? The easier it is for them to see immediately that you tick those boxes, the better it is for you. Statistics, numbers, anything like that you can put in are also really tangible ways of evidencing. And this is really tricky because it's not very often when you're in a behind the scenes department like IT or data, we don't very often say, so what's the return on investment of the piece of work I delivered last month? But that's what you've got to start to try to drill into. You've got to try and find, locate some sort of tangible evidence, some sort of return on investment for the types of work you're involved in. So start following up, start trying to get a handle on the types of projects. If you're a project manager, you can talk about budget. The scale of the budget gives an idea and the context to the recruiter as to what scale you've been responsible for before. So while we're on main skills, the best thing about this section is you can repurpose it, because a lot of these can go into your LinkedIn summary and the whole thing should tell the same story anyway, so that's really valuable. Then within the experience section, so we've all got an experience section on our CV that details our employment from most recent first backwards. Within this experience section, how do you make yourself jump out? Well, imagine there are 3 different project managers going for a job. They've all led projects. They've all managed stakeholders. They're all telling me that they've managed risks and issues. So what's different about you? Here's the thing. Don't list your duties and responsibilities under your experience, because everybody with the same job is doing the same thing. What I want to know, and what a recruiter really wants to know, is what did you come here? What did you see? What did you conquer? So tell us the main accomplishments at your organisations. Each of them, give us an idea of context. Again, where you can, use statistics, use tangible evidence where you've got it. If you've got a link to a profile or a piece of work you did front end, that's even better. That's fantastic stuff. So give enough context, but not too much. Remember to keep this brief. You're going to get into an interview. This is to get you the interview so that you can explain the detail around all of these points, and you will get that opportunity. The next section is your qualifications. So again, most recent first and also most relevant. If you've got something that's incredibly relevant to the role, you might even want to reference it in your skills and achievements. If that role is specifically advertising that you need a master's level qualification in something or a postgraduate, then you would list that under your main skills and achievements to say, actually, I'd tick that box as well. The recruiter or hiring manager, the shortlister, the company are sitting there and they're looking at it and thinking, this candidate checks every box on our wish list, or half of them. And that's more than most, because the rest of them I'm trying to pick it out of their CV. So if you can do that, then definitely move that up a section and keep it in your qualifications as well. After your qualifications, you don't need your references section anymore. That comes later on now. And hobbies and interests, just keep it to 3 hobbies, interests that aren't oversharing, but show that you have broader interests. Now I'm going to challenge you in 2 ways so that you can develop that well-converting CV that gets you to that first stage of the interview. And the first one is write with confidence about your accomplishments. Figure out, what value have I added here? What thing did I work on that actually contributed so much that so many other people benefited from a more bug-free process, from more efficiency, proficiency, whatever it was that you contributed to. Write with confidence about your accomplishments in your CV. And the second challenge I've got for you is share your CV with somebody who understands your domain and will be really honest with you. Perhaps even suggest doing swaps and helping each other out to share accomplishments. And that will help you to get in a really good position for your next role. If you have any questions, you can drop me something in the comments, or you can visit elitedigitalspace.com.